Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley,
I'm Con Collins.
and we are reporting live from the Hirogen sector. We've discovered an uncharted Class M planet, or unexplored Class M planet.
It looks very similar. Boy, our CGI is getting great, isn't it? Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the new 2383 Skype edition has really great.
It's because we're using the
background
Hirogen network of comm rays to send back to Earth. Right, okay. Thank goodness they're all there waiting for us, because otherwise this would be a really difficult thing to do across the quadrant, yeah.
In case you can't tell, guys, we're going to be talking about Prodigy, Episode 4, Dreamcatcher, where the planet they explore is, like I said, a Class M planet, but it's located in the Hirogen system. So, not just their sector, their system. So, the actual Hirogen homeworld system.
Yes. It was great, but it was weird. It was super out of left field. And what's nice about it is that with a lot of these little things, the team that we follow don't know what that means. So it's only purely, ooh, what do we think? And if you look at the hologram, there is a boat ton of planetoids in at least in the vicinity of this. So or there might be moons, but there's a lot of stuff. It isn't just a simple system. It's a beautiful planet, but and even the subtitles, it's spelled the same way. So let's be honest, this isn't a accidental coincidence of a species name and a planetary system that happens in the Delta Quadrant. They've got to be linked. Can we just put that to bed right now? It is definitely Hirogen system.
Yep, I totally agree. Which was cool, because the whole time we've been wondering, this place takes place in Delta Quadrant. But where? So now we have a frame of reference. And there was a lot of little things like that in this episode, but this one was a locator, and I like that a lot.
It's double interesting because we don't call ourselves the solar system anoids. We in the Delta Quadrant are only referencing the system based on something we know, and you would assume that somebody alien would find the Hirogen, so it's the Hirogen system because they, the Krenim system. So it's a Federation third-party name. I'm sure the Hirogen have another name for it, but that's neither here nor there. And so the ship knows who the Hirogen are, because why wouldn't you? And I assume they got these star charts for part of Neelix's many trades, and when Voyager came home, it was part of the big, map. I think it'd be important to know where the Hirogen came from, even if it's far away. Just useful, useful as a thing. What I like about it is that they don't show up. A lifeless, quote-unquote, planet. There's no facilities, there's no buildings. It is a sort of a paradise of death. I mean, what did you think? Were you expecting, when you heard that, were you expecting Hirogen ships? Were you expecting a twist? What were you vibing?
Wasn't expecting anything like that. The Hirogen are nomadic, so they're going to be as far away from their system as possible, it seems. So you say there were no buildings. There was one. Jankum Pog found it, but was it in his imagination? Because it started turning into vines when they arrived to save him. So yes. Yeah, no, I didn't expect to see any Hirogen structures or any ships or anything like that. I was like, Hirogen system, that's awesome. And I continued watching. It's just, I didn't expect to see anything else. So
yeah, if anything, maybe like a skyscraper in the distance is like a 36 pixels wide, like, oh, there's some leftover vine, whatever. But if this planet is so deadly, the Hirogen just wouldn't live here. As in, they might come here and fight the vines. They're hunters, so hunting literally a planet.
And this is something I mentioned in the live. This is devoid of life. The planet needs nourishment, so it's attacking anything that arrives. Could it be that the Hirogen hunted to extinction all the fierce creatures that lived on this planet? So now the planet's essentially starving and takes what it can get.
Man, that's fantastic. Yeah, it was a rich planet where maybe the ecosystem of this alien creature lived in harmony with thousands of other life forms and symbiosis. They came in decimated over 1,000 years, and now it's a pissed off planet because all of its... That's great. That's sad, but that's a really good backstory.
Yeah, it would make sense too. I mean, if you have the thriving amount of animal life on the planet, you can have that perfect balance of the planet takes what it needs.
How it evolves.
Still has animals, but you get these Hirogen, like the predators, that come in and just hunt anything that's worthy of it. They take out all the, all the vicious creatures or whatever, and then becomes a wasteland essentially. So. Yeah.
And then the green just takes over, unstopped by other. No, that's fantastic. We know that the Hirogen have a stealth technology. Happily, easily. While the Protostars is new, they're not looking for that, and Hirogen, I'm sure, are updating their tech all the time. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Hirogen do show up next week. You know, there's three things that could happen. Hirogen could turn up, Trekyards could turn up, or the Diviner could turn up. Someone's going to turn up to help/hurt them. And if they're cloaked, the stealth, they wouldn't see them, and the ship might not warn them because it doesn't know. There's no reason to think that Hirogen left there or not. And if it doesn't scan anything, then who's to say? So it's going to be interesting if hunters turn up and say, "You guys, what are you doing here? X, Y, and Z." And then that's a Starfleet ship. Starfleet, you know, there could be a lot of interesting stuff there. And for Hirogen, one of my favourite Delta Quadrant races by an absolute mile. So I would welcome them back in some form.
I don't want them to come back and say that I just want it to be a thing that they're in the system. Now, just while you were talking there, I had an interesting thought. What if the Hirogen engineered this vine system to read their minds and create the perfect predators for them to hunt?
Ooh. Oh, that's good.
And it got out of hand and started devouring all the life on the planet.
That's
so the planet,
fantastic.
the engineered vines that the Hirogen created actually destroyed all the life on the planet. And the Hirogen just said, screw it, it's not even worth going back there. Because their thing is they want to fight. They want to have a challenge.
But that's their heart's desire.
Yeah. And
Wow.
they did it with the holodecks. Could be that there was a experiment gone bad back in the day that read their minds.
Hirogen Einstein
Projected the perfect thing for them to hunt and kill, and it just got out of hand.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's really smart. One of the early attempts, and it goes wrong. Because we know that it is somewhat corporeal, because Jacob is touching things. His senses are real. You know, a fight is as real as... If a holodeck is real, then sensing it, living it, feeling pain from it is also close to real. You know, that's great. That's really fun. Yeah, I'd be sold by that. But and when I say Hirogen come back, I don't mean like there's a big old armada of ships. I mean, there's still, you know, the non-hunters that just want to not hunt on the homeworld. And you see like more civilian Hirogen. Because like I say, we only see the nomadic, probably generations down of hunters that have committed to this way of life, and obviously they teach their kids and blah blah blah. But what about civilian Hirogen? And I'd be all for that, you know. And a ship turns up and it's how do you guys got dropped into this situation, and then they can fight the Diviner or whatnot. I think that'd be quite a good, you know, ending for the half season finale is the Hirogen show up and save them. You're like, but they're the villains. It's like, well, the bands we've seen, like Vikings, were villains, not the women and children. Because we never saw women Hirogen, so I think that could be interesting. And as you said in our live, they did create a communication network that was massive spanning. That went from deep in the Delta Quadrant to the edge of the Alpha Quadrant. And actually, like, it would have been into the Alpha Quadrant. So they've travelled a long way. Yes, they're ancient, so it might have been 2,000 years ago, but they're a very well-travelled species, and to get to that point wouldn't necessarily just be to hunt. That might have been how their society evolved. I think they could deepen them tremendously well just by showing the non-hunter variant.
Yeah, I mean, now that you've said that, you kind of sold me on the idea of I want to see some, maybe in part 2 or something. That'd be interesting.
And then that could be how Trekyards gets involved. Maybe the Hirogen then send a message through the network to Starfleet, because they've got the network, and say, guys, we'll trade you X, Y, and Z. We've got on your ships.
Or we just saw a Federation starship leave our system. What's that all about? And Starfleet's like, what? Send Chakotay.
Yeah, and there's very little logical leap there, which I quite like. Just by saying Hirogen system, all these possibles come out. Because we saw them in, you know, Picard on the Borg Cube, and while obviously Borg Cube go everywhere, you know, there was a Hirogen in the Alpha Quadrant, and in Star Trek Online, they're one of the few Delta Quadrant races that just pop up.
And we have seen a Kazon in Prodigy, so I mean...
And they're going to come back in some way as well. Yeah, and who knows, it might even be played by Tony Todd again, you know, to give us that nice voice again. Well, only a few days to find out, guys, but I won't hold my breath. But definitely a setup. And it's one of those things where young audience obviously won't pick it up, but everyone else will be salivating at the possibility that loves Voyager. And that's what the show kind of is, those moments of, you know.
Yeah. What did you guys think of our theories? Do you have your own theories, or do you want to add on to ours? Comment down below. But if you do want to join us for any of the lives that we do have, make sure you're subscribed and notified. Don't forget to click like on the video as well. But join us for the lives where we have these discussions and come up with these theories on the fly like we did here. And you guys can contribute and be part of the conversation.
Yeah, please help if you can as well, directly via Super Chats. If you can, any Super Chat amount in those lives helps. Even at $1, you know, we have that last Super Chat thing. It's kind of a thing we do monthly via Patreon. And join the channel, all great ways. And PayPal if you want to do one time. Or buy a shirt. I mean, there are things down below the description that help in a small way. But we find quite cool, because when you're walking around with a Trekyards shirt, that's pretty cool.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Cockles.
Reporting live from the Hirogen system. Thank you for using the Hirogen Communications Network today.
Your bill will be 4,000 credits an hour. Long distance. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.